The following is an overview of Visual's foreign language translation utility. The process begins by creating new language IDs and assigning them by user ID. Then we'll be looking at importing existing translations. We'll show you the filter options, followed by modifications and also using the gather strings utility. And finally, exporting language packs. Let's begin by creating new language IDs inside of Visual. The translation utility can be found underneath the admin menu. The name of the application can be found in your directory under VM, TRN, MNT. And it's noted that you must also have system administrator privileges to use this application. Once I'm in the application, I'm going to go to create a new language pack. The dialog will open and you'll notice that I can put in a language ID up to 15 characters. And of course I can put in a description that goes up to 255 characters. I will save to create my new Spanish language ID. If multiple language IDs exist, I can use the drop-down menu to select one. Language assignment can be done here underneath the edit menu or from the security menu. Drop-down language ID selection is available. When a language ID is assigned to a user ID, that language ID will become active. It is also important to note that any previous functionality for language is not used in the current functionality. Next, we will continue the process by importing an existing translation. Back in the application with ESP selected, I'll go to the Import Translations option, and from there I can go through, press the file to go over and search and find my translation for ESP. I'll bring that over to be imported. And you'll notice that I have some options inside of this window. I can replace existing translations, I can reject untranslated strings, and I can delete existing translations prior to import. To begin the import, I will press the Run button. I'll get a warning message to see if I want to continue, and then the process will begin. And we'll move on to an example. Here you'll notice the top ribbon filled in with the translations. I'll go to an application, and you can also see the top portions. You can see the labels and also the tabs, and any of the fields below will be translated at this point in time. In this section, we will cover the filter options. I have already entered a value into the column for the visual filter, or you could also enter inside of the foreign area, or you could enter your filter into both. Here I'm going to go through and show you an example of putting in the Spanish side into the foreign, and I also have the visual side filled in as well. By tabbing out of the field, the search begins. The data can also be filtered by translated versus untranslated, or you can include both in your search. In this example, I'm showing you translated. I'm going to switch over to a different language where I have more detail. And in this case here, I can show you the untranslated example, and you'll notice that both columns have the same detail. And finally, I can show you that both flags can be on at the same time. Now let's review modifications as well as the gather strings utility. Using the translation utility, users can insert, update, or delete translations as needed. We will begin with an insert example. For my example, my database has already been changed over to Spanish, and you'll notice that the active flag has been turned over to Activo. What I want to do is to be able to go through and now modify or update the label for Show Translated. I'm going to go into the Insert button, and I'm going to add a row. I'm going to put in my label for visual and what I wanted to convert to for Spanish on the right hand side underneath the foreign. Then save my update. I'm going to close and then go back in, and you'll notice that the update has taken place. Let's review the gather strings utility. We're going to go in and I'm going to open up my new language. And you'll notice that I need to have active and the gather strings flags on at the same time. I'll go in to assign languages to user IDs. At least one user ID must have a link to the translation for it to be active. I'll save this example, and I'll go over and you'll notice now that the active flag is on for this one translation. I can go in and put the gather strings flag on and save my changes. You'll also start to notice that the application is building as I move throughout the current application. But I want to go through and capture another application. So I'm going to exit out of the program, go into the program that I want to capture the translations for. Once I'm in that program, I will go into the sub windows as well, capturing the strings that are in the sub windows and also moving around the tabs, gathering those strings. And all I need to do at this point is close out of the application and then reopen the translation maintenance. And you'll notice that the rows have been collected down below. When you're done gathering strings, it's important to come in and turn off the utility. Also keep in mind when you're using the gathering strings utility, it is only designed for one application at a time. The final feature allows for the exporting of language packs. Starting with a language open in the window, I'm going to go up to the export language packs. I could also use the pull down menu to select a language ID. But I'm going in and typing in my file name. I'll go up to the run button and press yes for the confirmation, and the file is created. Here's an example of the export that is created viewing with a text editor. I'll also go into the query tool and show you the table lang translations, and you can see the example that's out there. Thank you for watching this video on Visual's Foreign Language Translation Utility.